Progressive overload is the primary causation factor of muscle growth. To grow, you must provide your muscles with sufficient stimuli capable of sparking an adaptation response. Lift heavier, do more reps, train with a greater intensity, or train for longer. Your body will respond to the imposed threat by increasing its size and strength, so as to better respond next time you challenge it. Why is this important if you're primarily focused on fat burning? 1, because muscle is sexy. 2, because the more muscle you have, the easier it is to burn fat. And 3, because the style of training you do when progressively overloading is advantageous to maximal fat loss. Per gram, muscle burns more calories at rest than fat. This means the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn just by living. Translated into practical reality, it means you can eat more without getting fat, and it means you can more easily maintain a deficit if shredding. If you go into the gym today and bench press 50 kilos for 10 reps, then in 1 year you're doing exactly the same. You won't have grown any muscle, it's very unlikely, and you'd burn very little fat. This is why it's so important that every time you go into the gym, you're aiming to do a little more, to improve by even just 1%. If you don't give your body a reason to change, it won't. The most important element of progressive overload isn't the weight, amount of reps, or duration, but the intensity. Intensity is the percentage of effort exerted out of 100%. If you could only do 1 push-up and had to apply 100% effort, you just trained at maximum intensity. If you could do 10 push-ups but stopped at 9, you only trained to 90% intensity. The first rep may be 10% of your maximum effort, then the second rep 20%, up until your last rep, which would be 100% intensity. When lifting weights, once you reach 100% intensity, you can't do any more, and this is where you will fail, in a good way, or not be able to complete another positive or concentric rep. When you can't do another rep, it's technically called momentary muscular failure. The more intense you can train, the more muscle you can build and the better you'll burn fat. When driving, if you lightly pedal the gas, you'll conserve fuel and travel far, but slowly. If you put the pedal to the metal, you'll burn through fuel and move fast, but you won't get far. The same is true for your body. The more intense your activity, the harder you press the pedal, the more fuel you burn, the more fat you burn. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Compare the physiques of a professional sprinter and marathon runner. They're 2 totally different shapes. One only runs for 10 seconds at a time, the other runs for hours. Which body would you prefer? The time and reward benefit goes to the sprinter. This shows working very hard for a short amount of time yields far superior aesthetic results than working at a moderate effort for a long time. When opting for cardio, choose HIIT, high-intensity interval training, fast runs, boot camp style training, sprints, stair runs, or the Stairmaster or max speed. You can either train hard or for long. You can't do both. Very rarely can you do both. That's a little caveat on that. If deciding whether to do cardio or weightlifting for fat burning, always choose weightlifting. It's far more valuable for a balanced aesthetic look and better value per second for fat burning. Unless you're doing something like calisthenics and still applying the principles of progressive overload. Ideally, do both cardio and weightlifting when shredding. If you train 3 times per week in the gym, you'd only need to do cardio once or twice, if that. You can do more, of course, but it's not necessary and may make you more susceptible to injury. I've had similar results from weightlifting 3 times per week compared to 6 to 12 times per week sometimes I'd go. Use your discernment and find what fits into your lifestyle and recovery best. And that's just gym sessions, mind you, when I said 12. My goodness, some of the extra things I did on that, like martial arts and sprinting and military training in the army, It's not necessary. Find this sweet spot where you can do the least amount of work for the best results. Your body will thank you over the long run. When you train intensely, you initiate a process called exercise post-oxygen consumption, EPOC for short, EPOC, EPOC, or the afterburn effect. This is the increased rate of oxygen intake after intense exercise. It reflects the body's process of returning to a resting state, commonly called homeostasis, with an elevated metabolic rate that continues to burn calories for hours or even up to 48 hours post-exercise. Woof! I'll take that, please. To get better results in less time, train intensely with challenges suited to your ability. Learn where your boundaries are, push up to them, but don't go past them. Feeling sick or injuring yourself from overexertion can lead to quitting, but gradually expanding your limits helps ensure you keep coming back for more. If you could go from 50 kilos in the bench press today, and you think maybe you could go straight to 60, don't jump up too high. Take it at 5 kilo increments. It's better to move up slowly and gradually than to make these big, huge jumps and leaps, even though I know it can be very tempting and inviting to do so. Take it gradually, slowly, and you will win.